Hello, my name is Hilde Van Keer and I work at the Department of Educational Studies at Ghent University in Belgium, where I am coordinating the research group Language, Learning, Innovating. Let me first say a few words about myself. I entered academia at the end of the last century doing a PhD research focusing on promoting primary school children's reading comprehension and metacognition through blending the implementation of explicit strategy instruction and peer tutoring via continuous teacher professionalization. From that day on, I have been infected by the research virus, and the research topics that converged in my PhD haven't let me go since then. To this day, the research in our research group focuses on three broad main themes, which are also studied in their mutual coherence, namely collaborative learning approaches, self-regulated learning and the implementation of it in education, and reading and writing research. Importantly, building partnerships with teachers and school teams in the context of intervention studies runs as a methodological thread through the research lines. In the keynote address, I will zoom in particular on the research field of self-regulated learning and its implementation, of which the vital, though challenging nature is more than ever acknowledged after the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020. Obviously, no one was doubting the challenges education was facing in preparing all children and youngsters for our globalized knowledge society. It was widely acknowledged that education should enable students to develop into active, self-regulated learners, taking responsibility for their learning and developing a positive attitude towards lifelong learning. Unfortunately, however, research consistently revealed large interpersonal differences with a significant number of students facing SRL difficulties. Despite these disappointing findings, there was positive news as well, with teachers and schools playing a leading role in being able to turn the tide. Simultaneously, however, effectively supporting students' SRL appeared challenging, and teachers often struggled with adequate SRL implementation. With this knowledge, we entered 2020, and quoting Oscar Wilde, I would say, and all at once, summer collapsed into fall. With the new decade, the COVID-19 pandemic came, changing education in all respects. Learning was under more pressure than ever. Self-regulated learning was expected from all students, and the shortcomings and differences between learners became very tangible and sharper than ever. It became painfully clear to parents, teachers, and schools that for many children and youngsters it is not self-evident to get started, to persevere, to organize, monitor, regulate, and evaluate themselves. Especially about the most vulnerable children, we've been very worried. In fact, despite the efforts of teachers, many of them were on their own. Students with good SRL skills managed, some even flourished, but the large group just tried to cope and survive. More than ever, the pandemic put the importance of SRL and SRL implementation in the spotlight for students, teachers, schools, policymakers, and us as researchers. Even though our summer unexpectedly collapsed into fall, I do hope there is, at least in some ways, education before and after the pandemic. As Scott Fitzgerald puts it, life starts all over again when it gets crisp in the fall. I hope educational life can start over with renewed and genuine attention for SRL at all educational levels and for all students, with schools understanding the importance of putting SRL implementation more to the fore and acknowledging the fact that it is not something to foster only if there is time left, or only for quick learners, or only at the transition to higher education. The pandemic further also confronted us as SRL researchers with the task of addressing challenges in the field, which I will try to uncover and discuss in the keynote. The talk will consider some methodological challenges, focusing among other things on the relevance of uncovering individual differences via person-centered and process-oriented approaches. Further, theoretically, I will consider the tangent field between self and socially shared regulation and the opportunities of collaborative learning environments as stepping stones to self-regulation. Third, and reflecting on the different speeds at which SRL and SRL implementation research develops, I will discuss pathways for research on teachers and schools' professional learning in view of SRL promotion. I do hope we can meet in person in Gothenburg next year in the summer. Hope to see you all there.